Hey guys, it's M4J here, and welcome back to North Reef City here on City Skylines. Welcome to the episode where I finally get all this stuff sorted out as well. This huge infrastructure project, if you want to call it, that links both parts of our city together. Already, I mean, this for you guys has only existed for a few minutes, if that. But for me, this has existed for a couple of weeks now. I'm trying to get ahead in my recordings so that, you know, if I want to take a week off for any reason, I can. So yeah, I've been sat watching this for a while. I'm up to episode 7 in terms of recording. This is episode 5 that you're watching now. And there are things that I would like to change. Especially this bridge that you're seeing me build here, this road layout. I want to replicate this along the waterfront as well. So you can see right now it's a single road with lanes in both directions and then the tram in the middle. Now, I did say I wanted the tram to be a segregated system from the rest of the road. And because of that, it does actually make sense for me to have it be kind of like this. 4 lanes in either direction or 3 lanes in either direction, plus the tram in the middle. Now, there will still be flat crossings and things like that, but that's no worse than a railway, so I think that's fine. You're going to see me have some problems here with Move It again, where I tried to get everything level. This one does work better, though. I will admit that. This one works better than the first one. It does still make me absolutely rage, but not as bad. So there's that. Small positives in life, etc, etc, etc. Node controller had an absolute fit trying to get all this to work. So that's a pain. And actually, one of the reasons I want to segregate all of this is you can see this triangular junction for the tram. I wanted to use big trams here. And you can see that there's just no room for them to stop in that triangular section. It'll just be too... the space on the track there is too short for a tram to be able to stop. Plus, it depends very much where the stopping points are, of course. But it just doesn't look like it's going to work. So I want to change this up anyway. I want to change the exit ramps off the bridge. I want to change the size of the triangular junction. I want to change the way that the road interacts with the tram. There's a lot that I want to make different, and I think the easiest and best way to do that is to rebuild or at least adapt what's already here. So I think the road that already exists, I think I'm going to convert into left to right running. So in other words, be I was going to say the northern side, but the inland side, and then build a new outland side or water side, one on the other side, and then connect that up. I don't know how yet. This part here, though, so this connection that I'm building right here, ignore this. This is terrible. I'd come back and build a much better one. I build like a spiral going from the bottom road to the top road, and I actually really liked it. So much so that I'm very tempted to do that again on the bottom side. The other side, and have that be complete, and have it almost like a cloverleaf style. Is it semi-cloverleaf? I think they call it. Semi-cloverleaf trumpet, I think it's going to end up being when you factor everything in. As I said, you know, I've said this before in previous episodes. I'm new to some of this road building style. You know, diverging diamonds and all that nonsense. They work very well. I'm not dissing that. But at the same time, my God, they're an absolute pain sometimes to actually make work. The DDI was actually, it wasn't too bad. I can't complain too much about that one. But some of these ones are just, yeah. The way these bridges work, you see how it dives down to come back up again? I don't know why it does that. And also, I don't know why... I thought the point of Move It was you select a start point, an end point, and then the points in between, and it would create a flat slope or a consistent slope between the start point and the end point. For some reason, when I do it, it includes the start point and or the end point as part of the slope, and you end up with this really weird shape going on. I don't know why. You saw that last episode where the tram kept jumping up and down. I don't want that. That's not what I'm trying to achieve here. Very irritating. Excruciatingly irritating, in fact. And you can see I break this road by trying to move this node. Again, no idea why that's happened. Frustrating, very. No idea why, yeah. I'm going to repeat myself a lot during this episode, I'm sure. No idea why it decided to do that. But it was a massive pain in the massive neck. And thankfully, apart from the fact that I now want to rebuild the entire road along the waterfront here, thankfully the majority of this is now fixed and working. And we do actually see, I believe we see some traffic running along this towards the end of this episode. To be honest, the main reason why I wanted to get these connections running was so that people could get to and from the stadium. The stadium is working. I believe the first match has been played. The stadium itself, there's no dynamic assets within the stadium. They're all static out on the pitch. So we can't watch the matches like we used to do. However, that's kind of not the point, to be honest. The point is to get people to and from the stadium and actually simulate it as if it were a real-life stadium hosting real-life matches. And I'd like to say, to an extent, we've achieved that goal. So I'm very, very happy. You can kind of see this weird junction thing that we've got going again. Now this is where we connect it up to the rest of the city. As you can see, I spent quite a long time here sizing everything up. I think I'm happy with my choice here. I went with this one. There's a series of intersections that I downloaded off the workshop. I take no credit for these whatsoever. And this is probably the best one for this part of the city. However, saying that, I am tempted to add some more intersections. First of all, we need them anyway, because the amount of traffic right now coming into and out of the city, particularly Reef Square, is just insane. So being able to change that would be great. But this city centre bit as well. You know, there's meant to be a series of main roads running through the city centre, and right now we've got one. So being able to change that in the future would also be nice. And I'm sure that a lot of these intersections will be perfect for this. And then this part here. So this is what I want to base the waterfront on as well. You'll see in a second here the way I build this tram line. And then at the end, it just drops down and disappears underground. That's really what I'm going for with all of this. Where it goes once it goes underground, I have no idea right now. It might just be a little temporary loop thing. But this part of the city here, right now there's nothing on it whatsoever, but I think this is going to be a pretty heavily built up residential area. The bit on the other side of the water, that is technically the city centre itself. Central business district and all of that good stuff. I will be adding some high-rise buildings. I've been on the workshop and downloaded some high-rises that I'm going to incorporate. And on top of that, there was something else really important I was just about to say. I can't remember what it was. Offices, I think I put in that area as well. A little bit of commercial with a bit of parking. But otherwise, yeah, the city centre is kind of spread over the two sides of the water, which is something actually that I was thinking about the other day. I was, in fact, last night I was recording some more City Skylines here, and I just kept looking over at this part of the city, thinking, you know, city centres, I mean, cities in general are normally built straddling rivers. That's kind of their reason for being. It tends to be the river comes first, the city's built around the river, and then the city evolves over the years. But North Reef, Guard City had this problem as well, actually. It tended to end at the river. It never actually crossed the river, which is still fine. You know, some cities do that as well. But I'm thinking cities like, you know, Budapest and Istanbul, where it's clearly a city that's built across a river. And that's really what I want to do here. So that's why this part of the city will straddle the river. It's a really long roundabout way of saying that, I suppose. I'm going to let the music take over for a little bit here then. It's quite a long one, this video. It's 4 hours of footage that I've condensed down. And right now I've got it at 45 minutes, but it could well end up being longer. I think it's just going to be 45 minutes, to be honest, because it makes life easier for you and I. So yeah, I'm going to let the music take over for a little bit, and then we'll come back a little bit later on, and I'll start talking to you about what else is being constructed. So I'll enjoy the music, and I'll be back momentarily. There's my phone. Should have put it on silent. So here's our first transport line of the city about to go in. You may have heard me talk before about this asset on the Steam Workshop. It's called Ride. And I say asset, it's more assets. There's a lot of them. It's like a fictional transport company that someone's made. I wish I could remember their name. I will try and remember to link it at some point, either in the description here or elsewhere on the channel. You could just search Ride, R-Y-D-E, on the workshop, and you'll find pretty much everything that they've created. It's incredible the amount of vehicles and buildings and things like that they've created. It's fantastic. I thought it was Ride as in the Isle of Wight, but it's not. It's Ride as in, a play on words, basically. Now, the first part of this episode was recorded before the airport's DLC released. The second part, and the third part for that matter, were recorded after. So you can see I'm finally able to sell soil, which makes landscaping just that little bit easier. Because I'm able to come in and sell the soil rather than having to constantly build mountains off in the background. And I think actually at some point I will go and get rid of that big mound that I'd created and make it I don't know, little nature reserve or something. I'll find a use for it, I'm sure. So yeah, building this little part here. This is going to be part of the city centre. This is going to be kind of downtown. Downtown is going to spread across the river. At the moment, you'll see that I place it going right up to the city boundary. But I'm actually going to change that and have it cross the river instead. Now, downtown, I think, is probably going to be the biggest part of the city. There's certainly a lot of ground that it can cover. So I will eventually come up with a plan for that. Right now, though, the plan was just to make the ground as flat as possible without making it perfectly flat. So you can see it does slope up away from the water. And when we start placing streets, that's when you really see how big your hills are. Right now, it looks pretty gentle, pretty consistent. And then you start placing roads and you realize they're like a 45-degree angle. And you think, oh boy, okay, that's not what I was expecting. So yeah, there's work to be done still. But overall, I think, I'm pretty happy with how this is looking. There's work to be done here too. Trying to incorporate this road junction into the city as well. I think I've actually done a pretty good job over the last couple of episodes. You'll see more of that next week. But yeah, trying to come up with stuff off the top of my head. Like pretty much all of this city so far, it's all inspired by real life places. Like places I've been to in London, places I've been to around the world. Photos I've seen of places around the world. That's basically the inspiration for all of this. But at the same time, a lot of it is improv. So I'll be going around with, roads thinking, okay, one would look good here, one would look good there, that kind of thing. And you do end up kind of having to bodge it at times. You build a bit and then you think, yeah, okay, that was all right. And then you go back and rebuild it and you're like, yeah, that was better. And then so on and so on and so on. You can see here this junction with the arena has been tweaked slightly. I was tempted to build like a flyover so you can get into the arena or out of the arena. Actually, I might still do that because right now you can only get to the arena from the right hand side of the screen here. You can't turn right from the left hand side. So I might make it so that you have to kind of go into the city centre and then around and through that way. Maybe. We'll see about that actually. But right now it's on the list of potential things. We will see. And then I royally mess up this road to the point where I have to rebuild it again, which is lovely. It's that bit there where you can just tell the node is completely twisted and warped and broken. And it's probably fixable still. But me and my very, very limited City Skylines experience is as good as gone as far as I'm concerned. It's as good as gone. But yeah, this exit here, and this entrance in fact, again, just trying to make every junction unique. Not have two junctions be the same. I think it does need to be spread out a little bit more again. In fact, I might do that still here. Just to get it to look a little bit nicer. One of the other reasons why I kind of want to split these roads into 4-lane one way, 4-lane the other way, and then tram in the middle is so that I can have dedicated turn lanes for some of these junctions. Because right now it is just one lane turns off, one lane goes straight on. And it's not very realistic and it's not very good for traffic flow. Because you end up with cars that want to travel along the waterfront basically have to stay in the right-hand lane constantly. and there's no lane switching or anything like that, and the traffic becomes a bit of a pain. Now what you're seeing here is me placing down some city blocks. Now each of these big squares that you see me place, that's what I'm considering to be a block. Now we don't really have blocks in the conventional sense here in the UK, not like in America anyway, so you'll have to bear with me if my terminology is slightly incorrect, but effectively the way my city centre is going to be split is this is the block, and then there will be smaller sub blocks built within the block. Now I know what a city block is in terms of US terminology. At least I think I do. I've interpreted it as, the Empire State Building, for example, in New York. It's got roads around all four sides. That is a block. That's what I've interpreted it as. Could be wrong. Probably am. That tends to be my thing. But regardless, that's how I'm seeing it in terms of North Reef, but I'm expanding on that concept slightly. So it's not just, oh man, I'm just breaking all these nodes. Move it and node controller don't always work together. I've noticed that, and it can be quite irritating. But yeah, the way my blocks work is you've got the big block, and then you've got the smaller blocks. I guess you can call them like large blocks, small blocks, something like that, just to make it easier to comprehend. I think that's what I'm going to be doing to make it easier for me to comprehend. But I keep going to say it and then not saying it. So hang on, let me just say it. Effectively, this is how the city is going to be split up. Now, some of the bigger blocks might be residential, and then all of the sub-blocks within that bigger block will all be residential. Some will be commercial. I think I will have some more office. I think I do build some more office space. I have like a waterfront office area, which looks quite nice actually. I wouldn't mind working there were it to exist. And then some might be mixed. So we might have some that are commercial, some that are residential, some that are commercial and residential. Might have some commercial with some offices. One thing we're not having over here, obviously, is industrial. However, Linden Hilltop, which is our sort of suburb area on the other side of the river, on the other side of Reef Square as well, in fact, I am tempted to put some very, very light industrial on certain streets there. And I'm also tempted to have that little residential estate that we've got off to the side of Reef Square. I'm actually tempted to extend Linden Hilltop into that and creating a bigger Linden Hilltop, and then extending Reef Square, or whatever it's being renamed to, because I am renaming it in the future. I just haven't come up with a name concept yet. And having that be on have that spread either across the river, which might not be a good idea, or at least across the main road. That could be possible. And then, yeah, we'll just throw some little light industrial units here and there. Nothing too big. We don't want to pollute the ground or anything, but just enough. You can see we've got we've got a residential and industrial demand here so far. So the residential does get taken care of by this part that I'm building now, but the industrial is still very much lacking. So I would like to come through and get that sorted. So this is how the road junction there is being integrated into the city. You can see that we've got the main road above kind of curves around it, but there is that little filter lane that does connect to it. And that's something I wanted to try out actually and see how well that worked. From what I've seen so far, I think it worked quite well. And we'll have a couple more like that. Not so much there, but around the city in general. Main roads that can be easily got to, just so that the feeder roads aren't always clogged up. Now we might have to put some exceptions on some of these to stop huge amounts of traffic building up. We would like traffic to still use the main roads, or at least the main feeders to the main roads, but it's just to try and limit some of these junctions getting absolutely clogged. You'll also notice that I forgot to zone some of these roads, and I don't mean like placing residential, commercial, industrial. I mean like I forgot to add zoning blocks. So you'll see me come in and do that now as well. This is a residential area that I'm building here, and you can see how it links up to the main area. And just, yeah, I like it. I really am a fan of all of this so far. As I said, it's improv. A lot of it's made up on the spot, but when it works, boy does it look good, and I'm very, very happy with it. So a lot of this now is just going to be me placing some more roads, starting to get some zoning done. A lot of this is just road placing. I think I do the water towards the end as well, get the water pipes in. and then I do the zoning right at the end. Originally I wasn't going to do any zoning, but I kept seeing that demand for residential, and I think there were some buildings in North Reef in Reef Square, still can't speak today, that were struggling because of the demands and also traffic and things like that. So my priorities were kind of shifting towards the end of this, so I did start zoning it at the end just to see what it would look like. I also got the theme wrong, so I think next week's episode I do fix the theme as well to make that look how it's meant to look. But yeah, sit back, enjoy this part of the video, guys, and I'll be back again shortly for the outro. As promised then, here we are with the zoning. So you can see how this part of the city is going to look. It's pretty much all residential apart from that one block that is commercial. Like I said, next week we do add the office bit in as well, but that hasn't been constructed yet, so it's not being taken away from anything that we've got here. It's a new build that hasn't been built yet. That was a really weird way for me to say that, but yeah. Doing these traffic lights then, to be honest, traffic lights are the bane of my existence right now. It would be cool if there was a way, maybe there is actually. I think there are some features that have changed with the new update. It'd be cool if there was a way to copy and paste all of this over. It would make my life a lot easier, that's for sure. So yeah, this is me doing downtown, and again, you can see I've kind of gone the wrong way with this. Downtown might even end up being the other side of the river, to be honest. Or, like I said, spanning the river. It seems like such a big area, and I don't know if I like this. But then again, what else would you call it? We could have unofficial areas still. So like Lafayette might be north of the river, and I know Victoria might be south. I'm using Guard City names again here, but you get the idea. And then still have it all under one district in-game, just for easier management. That's a possibility. You can see I went with free transport again for the city centre. Because of this, I might turn off the one at Reef Square now, because it's no longer the city centre. And again, this is based primarily on Perth in Western Australia, and the way that they've got things going. But it could also be, any city really that's got free public transport in the city centre. Wish London was one of them, but it certainly isn't, I'll tell you that much. It's got some free travel, but I think it's mostly like, I think Heathrow, the buses are free and stuff like that. But anyway, I digress. This is starting to look really, really cool now. I always have doubts when I start series like this, because I just don't feel like my skills are good enough still. Especially when it comes to City Skylines, because I feel like I've played it a lot over the years. I bought it on release day. So you'd think I'd have a good idea as to what the heck I'm doing. However, I didn't use mods to begin with. I never liked the idea of modding games. City Skylines was one of the first ones that I really, really modded. It was like 2015, I think it came out. And then after that, I started looking at, OpenTTD mods and or new GRFs as they're called. And then from there, started looking at other games as well and started modding the crap out of everything, to be honest. But working with, things like Move It and Node Controller and parking roads and just adding detail, it's something that I still consider myself to be very new to. And because of that, I do feel like I struggle sometimes. But watching it back, I am kind of onto something with this. I'm very pleased with how it's starting to look. There are still areas that I would like to make different if I can. I've got plans for an airport, maybe more than one airport in fact. A port or a dock like we've built in New Guard City in the past. Also for a university area, or at least several universities. I think I might do what I did before and have a trade school, economics school, is it engineering school, I think is the third one, and go from there. Now this, I just want to talk about this road here quickly. So, I talked about I want every junction to be unique. This one here, I've been sat on for a long time thinking, how am I going to do this? And I'm so pleased that I've actually managed to build this now. It didn't quite work out how I wanted it to, but I'm not saying that as a bad thing. I think in truth, once Node Controller's finished crap in the bed, in truth, I think this worked out way, way better than I could have anticipated. It's not visually there yet. I've still got some tweaks that I want to make on that side of things. But in terms of practicality, this is perfect. This is exactly what I wanted. So it's basically it's a elegant flyover is what I think I'm going to call it. You can see how it works, or you can see how it starts to work. Left turns are handled on the ground level, and right turns are handled on the upper level. That's how this works. So you can see already me struggling with this again. I don't get why the ground to bridge bit like that has to be so weird. It's the jankiest thing ever. I hate it. But other than that, this is a great project, and I'm really, really happy with how it's turned out. I do still want to move these around a little bit so that the roads run a little bit closer above and below. Although I kind of, at this point, I was anticipating swapping the road below down for the 4-lane thing that I keep talking about. So I kind of left some space for that. But ideally, I want these roads to run a lot closer together just so that they look nicer, to be honest. And like I said, right turns are handled by going up and over. And this junction here where the two roads intersect, this is purely a straight-on thing only. There's no U-turn. Actually, I might make U-turns possible. We'll see about that, actually. That might be a thing. And then left turns are handled at the ground level. And it just means that you can go from one junction to the other without necessarily being held up by traffic and things like that. And again, I think this is probably the best way of being able to do it. There is a variant of this that I build next week where there's a dive under. which kind of works. I might change it for a flyover, we'll see. But I want to grade separate these junctions as well, just to make them more efficient, because again, traffic is starting to become a problem. Traffic was a problem in New Guard City as well, and I just felt like I needed to do something preemptively to stop it being an issue. And again, we'll see how it turns out. Alrighty then, folks, we are coming up towards the end of the episode. Again, I've actually done alright here, not talking too much about things next week. I've hinted at them, but I've not spoken about them as if I built them this week. Because again, when you record in advance, you kind of forget what was recorded when. Especially as there's 3 parts to this video and they were recorded on 3 separate days. So that's where you start to get a little bit confused, because you can't just say, oh yeah, Monday I did this and then Tuesday I did this, because, you know, this was spread over the course of a week. So keeping track of everything can be a little bit tricky. These nodes here on this bridge as well, I mean, they're not the nicest looking. I might just put it on an embankment or something just so it doesn't look like that. And then the final thing we do is we water and we power this part of the city. The power is always going to be the hardest thing to do. The water is really easy because you never see the water pipes. Now, technically, you could do that with the power as well. You can get the mod where you build it underground. Yeah, something I've toyed with. Technically, in city centres, power does go underground anyway. All the power lines are buried underground. So that's, you know, not beyond the realms of realism. So we'll see about that. But yeah, let me know what you think down below about the city centre here at North Reef and the downtown. It's called downtown. We don't really use downtown here in the UK, so it's going to be the city centre. I'll find a name for that, I'm sure. Putting a post office here on the corner. Again, this is the city centre, but there are still some, you know, small buildings like that or administrative buildings that you just don't really see a lot of the time. If you know where they are, then obviously you know where to go. But otherwise, yeah, they're just kind of hidden and kept out of the way. Building the or marking the intersections now. Again, I think do I mess up here? I think I went back and redid a little bit of it just to make it look nicer. But yeah, I'm going to start wrapping up this video here now, guys. There's a little bit of footage at the end, I think, but it might get cut off because I don't think it's very important. Thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to hit the like button if you enjoyed the video. And of course, if you're enjoying the series so far, drop those comments down below with ideas for future episodes. And like I said, leave some feedback about the current episodes as well. That's always very useful and very helpful. Wow, what happened to my voice there? Besides all that, was what I was trying to say, if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, be sure to hit the subscribe button. Plenty more City Skylines content coming up in the future. If you have already subscribed to the channel, thank you guys for your continued support. It's very much appreciated. Loving the numbers right now. So let's keep that going. And have a good rest of your week. And until next time, I will see you soon.